Good morning, everyone. I'm Trey with the First Date Fix, and today we're going to be talking about why being single for too long might not be too good for your health. Now, before we get into it, I want to be very specific about what I mean by being single. It doesn't mean having a friend with benefits for a year plus. It doesn't mean being in an on and off relationship with your ex. It doesn't mean going on multiple hookups throughout the year and doing your hoeing phase. That doesn't mean you're single. You at least have someone that you're seeing occasionally, you're hanging out with your friends, and every now and then you might want to hook up with someone, see your friends with benefits, see your ex, or someone that perhaps you're dating but not one of you have committed because you're polyamorous or you like to see other people. You guys are out the corner, it doesn't necessarily connect. This is for people who are straight up single. No dating, no kissing, no nothing. I'll never forget when I was in college and I wanted to be the best athlete I could possibly be. So what I decided to do was to completely cut out sugar. Now, don't get me wrong, I was eating natural sugar from fruits and stuff like that, but that meant no candy, that meant no popcorn, it meant no soda. It was a rough time in my life, but I did it. And I was able to start clocking in, 8-minute miles, and I was running. I had the abs of a god. Not anymore, but I did back in the day when I was in college. But I'll never forget when I had a Snickers bar and it just tasted weird. Like I almost didn't like it. And what was nuts is I used to eat Snickers all the time because I wasn't myself when I was hungry. But I used to eat Snickers all the time and it was a staple of mine. But it just didn't taste the same and it didn't taste good. You want to know why? Because I hadn't had it in such a long time. And this ties into exactly what I'm going to talk about in regards to why you shouldn't be single for too long. Just depends on how long. But let's talk about some of the benefits. Scientists say that being single is actually good for your health. Studies suggest that single people have stronger social networks and they develop more as individuals. They even tend to be physically better. I can attest to this myself. I feel like when you're single, you're constantly marketing your availability in singledom to get someone else. And when you're marketing who you are, your internal brand and your physical brand, you got do you know what I mean? You have to feed the pythons. You have to go to the gym. You have to be in shape. You want to make sure what you're advertising is viable for people, right? You want to make sure they look at you and think, okay, yeah, hey. You don't want them to think, oh gosh, I wonder why he's single, right? So being single, from what it sounds like, is pretty dope. But can I keep it real with you guys, to be very, very frank? No one really wants to be single for the rest of their lives. That's just the reality. No one really wants to die alone. Sure, your friends who have been dumped or your friends who have been single for 8+ months will shout out to anyone that hears it, hey, I'm single and I'm loving it. Woohoo, single forever, boom, boom, boom. In fact, I even have a video of me shouting single forever. Watch this video to the end and you might just see a snippet. Cringe. But whatever, I'm gonna post it anyway. Being single is important because when you go from relationship to relationship, unfortunately, you're never really given time to process your feelings. You're never really giving yourself time to have some self-reflection and think about perhaps the things that you could have done better, perhaps the things that you're not looking for in someone because you know it's not good for your soul, and perhaps you might have chosen the wrong person, and you are able to figure out exactly what works you when you're single. So being single isn't the worst thing in the world. In fact, being single is good. Now here's where it gets tricky. If you're single for too long, it can have a lot of detrimental effects to your health, to your well-being, to your social circle, to your mind, and your general happiness. I'm here to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, being single is great, but be very careful about how long you are single. When you've been single for so long, it's so hard to give up your solitude, to give up the things and habits and priorities that you spent the good part of a year plus, maybe even half a decade building around your life, because you're a strong individual. You haven't sat there thinking, oh, I'm waiting for my Romeo, or I'm waiting for my Juliet. You've just gotten busy. You've got your career, you've got your education, you've got your friends, you've got your hobbies, you've got your arts. But when you do so many of those things, anyone who's new that comes in, it's always on someone's terms. Well, if they want to fit in my life, that's fine, but I have so much going on for me. That mentality is not healthy. if you don't want to die alone, if you eventually want to find someone special, you have to be willing to open up your priorities and let someone in. Not until they prove themselves, but if you find someone attractive and there is some sort of good conversation, you have to give them some time. You have to give them even a slight possibility of your priorities. Sometimes when you've been single for so long, you sabotage relationships simply because you enjoy being single. You know how good it is and you don't particularly care. And unfortunately, I'm gonna keep it real with you guys. You know, I did that for a long time. I wanna say I did that for about 2, maybe 3 years, but I did that for about, let's say 2 solid years. If I wasn't feeling it, I felt like 1, it was great being single anyway. 2, it doesn't matter because I'm gonna get myself into another relationship with a better person. And 3, I don't have to be with this person because I can get that sort of attention, that sort of love, the stuff that they offer elsewhere. I was incredibly selfish and I made a lot of mistakes that way. And you have to be very, very careful that kind of mentality that you give yourself, because when you're single for so long and you have a good friendship circle, you have a good career, you're staying in shape, blah, 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 it's very hard to see anyone else in that just by grace of time alone. Sometimes the longer you stay single, the more you might be internally or subconsciously worrying that your chances are getting thinner and thinner by the year. And when that happens, what that means is that you start shrinking inside yourself. You start going in the metaphorical fetal position because you're just not sure if that time's gonna come. And to be quite honest, it's been so long that almost all hope is lost, which is the wrong thing you can do. It's never too late. I mean, Oprah Winfrey is a freaking billionaire and didn't find love till her late 40s. Her late 40s! Good for her. Oprah, if you're watching, send me some money. I know you got it. And last but not least, when you've been single for so long, you carry over negative tendencies. Sometimes you carry over behavioral tendencies that you had when you were single, i.e. all of the fun things and habits and hobbies that you did when you were single. When you actually are lucky enough to be in a loving relationship, you still have those single tendencies that are essentially slowly killing the relationship that you're in. I'll give you some examples. Always having things your way, having things on your time, having things on your list, inviting the person into your life, not sharing your life together, not being able to do good conflict resolution because you haven't been with someone for so long that enables you to have any conflict resolution, not being a good communicator, not being able to text appropriately, not being able to look outside yourself, and generally being selfish. Ladies and gentlemen, the longer you are single, the harder it is to let someone back into your life, to be a twosome as opposed to a onesome. Onesome is not a word. To be a twosome as opposed to one person enjoying their life. I want to be very clear about this. Being single isn't bad, but being single for too long is detrimental to your health. Now, if you have an issue where you feel like, Trey, I've been trying, I've been single for so long. You think I like being here? You think I like being single? It's not single forever for me. I've been trying to find a husband. I've been trying to find a wife for years. Fine. Watch some of my videos, look at some of my posts. But don't just look at me. There are a million different people out there that can give you relationship advice too. But I wouldn't mind if you pass over my page every now and then, give me a like. But for the most part, right, there are thousands of resources that can help you to figure out who you are, figure out perhaps some personality traits that might be turning some people off. Figure out all of these things that you have to change for yourself, because in order to get the person we want, we have to aspire to be that person. i.e., if you want to find someone who is intelligent and a professional, you have to be intelligent and a professional. And if you're not, the good thing about life is that life will always be what you make it, and you can make yourself that viable option where you won't be single for too long. Okay, and if you disagree or if you have further opinions that you'd like to share, I love getting into engaging conversations with you guys. I always appreciate the comments. Enjoy the rest of your day. Happy Tuesday. Let's go.